Interestingly, I don't have hunger, hatred, or anything in my heart. I just have like,
Wondering.
it's wandering. And it's almost like I blurred the connection with him. It's like I know he's around me. I can feel him. For example, he loved this cigar, so now I buy. Well, I used to love cigars, but not as much as him. And we were very, as I said, my father and I. That's why it's like it feels like he's in me. It is extremely strange. And he had a son who was born 3 days after he died. So I have a little, because my father was a polygamist. Well, later on in his life, he became a polygamist, which was not a funny business, but. Father's passing. It feels very surreal. It feels very almost incredible, because I guess when you leave the physical world so early in your life, 51 years old, you kind of leave a taste of unfinished business, especially in his particular case. It's like he had so much project and so many things that he wanted to accomplish, that it feels not only for that, but it just feels incredible. Interestingly, I'm not crying. I mean, I've cried obviously, because that happened in front of me. I was there, through the whole process, and I don't know how I'm able to just keep on. I guess that's the way the universe, and obviously him and my mother built me by giving me all the resources I needed in order to be the man that I am today. Well, obviously you have an absence, There's, as much as I believe I'm a spiritual person, interestingly, here everything is pretty numbed at this point. It's like I don't think I feel him is more present than ever, if that may even make sense, but at the same time he's not. But I think what I try to retain, actually what is seems to be stronger in the way I feel, is that he's here, you know, in spirit or whatever you want to call it. But his presence, I can sense it. So I guess that helps me just not, you know, it's just a transition. It is just a transition, you know, from the physical to the invisible, from the visible to the invisible. Which, if you open the right eyes, you may be able to connect and see. But as of now, I think the pain is too grand to just want to connect there yet, you know. But I'm doing so when it was the music, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm in the continuation of giving life to my second album, which will be an absolute and complete tribute to him, you know. So yeah, through the music, I guess I'm more connected than ever with him. I would like if I say I pray, because I think I'm a bit. I have my little questions with God, you know. So I don't really think I'm at the moment. I'm not praying, but at the same time, I'm not blaming anything or anyone. But I just have questions, and to answer to your question, I just have to be quite honest and just say that, you know, he is. That's all I can say, and that's just how I connect, because he is. I am a reflection of, you know, I come from him, you know, as a communion between him and my mother. So since I'm the fruit of that exchange, you know, I have both in me. And obviously, since, thank God, my mother is still with me, then I have more of him in me right now than anything. So I guess I connect with him by talking to myself, you know. I guess that's, everybody have their own ways, you know, but, and you know, these little things, that's his pen. Before he passed, he gave me his watch. He was like, you love watches, I want you to look after this watch for me, and you know, it's gonna suit you perfectly. And so yeah, through these little things, you know, he's there, present.
And about the pain, how can we understand a part of your pain?
Through the music. You can see that when I play. Interestingly, my father was a guy. Me and my father, we had an interesting connection. We were so close to one another that obviously, you know, in the African tradition, you will give a certain amount of congratulations to your son or your daughter, but you know, you will always keep a certain amount of things to yourself that you may share with your friends. And I found out, you know, later on, even though I knew how proud he was of me, how much of a fan he was. At moments, even I thought he wasn't. Especially when I made my first album, Invocation. He was like, I don't like this album. I was like, are you serious? I was like, man, you don't know. You're just too. You know, I guess I didn't understand what he meant. He felt like I needed to be. He actually liked the album, but he was liking more the really African songs, like, you know, the one I did was Musangare and so on. And it was like, you know, you need to just be more you know, you don't have to conform. I was like, yeah, well, you know, I'm not conforming, because if I was, I would be doing, you know, commercial music. But I believe that by doing what I'm doing, I'm sort of like meeting both worlds, you know, which is my, you know, Western side and African side, and putting them together to the best of my abilities. So yeah, man, through the music, that's how I connect. I don't know if the music helps me disconnect from the pain or if I connect the pain through the music. It's always been for me that interesting balance. Anyway, if you listen to my music, that's why actually I'm very surprised when I have youngsters, who are like 18 years old and they come and tell me, well, I love this song of yours. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That's interesting because I don't really think that my music is necessarily the easiest to listen to. I'm not going to complain, if people enjoy it. But as far as me, my personal healing, it is definitely happening through the music. So I think it is a mixture of both. It's like as much as I can put pain and sort of like try to put all my questions through my productions and try to find the answers as I make the music. It is also that place where I can just disconnect from everything and just be, My father died, not even a month, not even less than a month ago. And I'm talking to you like, it feels bizarre, but there's no rules, there's no ways to just grieve somebody, And and as far as I'm concerned and knowing how he raised me, I mean, yes, you can grieve, you can be in pain, but why would I let myself down and would I be looking miserable in front of the cameras and talk about it? Like, I mean, some people would even say, well, why are you talking about your father in front of cameras, But because he was my biggest fan, so he deserves, and I think the world needs to know who I come from, For a long time, I used to, not necessarily talk about my parents. Like, I would honor them every once in a while on social networks. But I have a very strong connection with my family, extremely strong connection with my father and my mother. So I try to honor them as much as I can because they've given me, my brothers and sisters, everything they could, And, parents are just human beings, but they nonetheless remain parents. So I guess I'm just trying to make them, or make that feeling immortal through the music. That feeling of gratefulness, of gratitude, of love, and peace, because at the end of the day, even if it's complicated and it's not easy to say, you have to be at peace at some point. Because there's no point fighting something that is beyond you. What is. What can be or will be, that depends on, what you're going to prepare today, I guess. Even though that we don't have control upon for the future, we just live it day by day. baptized Catholic, you know, as a Catholic, but I've evolved into a different spiritual understanding, and I don't look at life from a religious point of view, though I cannot deny that because I was raised in a system, I am sort of like depending on a certain amount of references that belongs to the system, but I don't think I belong more to one religion than another. However, yes, with the name I've choose the artist name that I picked, Boddhi Satva, which is a Buddhist divinity, and then another path that is, you know, the path of Ifa or Yoruba, if you wanna give it a more understanding and common name. Yeah, you know, I've embraced that true original practice of spirituality, of being connected with the nature, and some people don't understand it, some people understand it, but I actually quite not care what people think or don't think. I believe that no matter the path that you pick, if you're somebody who's doing good, that's the most important. So I believe in good and bad, yes. But I also don't believe in good and bad in the religious way of it. I believe that obviously if you hurt somebody, you hurt somebody. So I believe in not hurting anybody by all means possible, and remain in my corner, practicing and cultivating my peace and generating peace around me. That's really my goal. So no, I don't belong necessarily to a religion, though I have my sensibilities for some philosophical aspects of certain religions. Actually, most of them are very interesting and very common. I just don't like to be framed and cornered and, you know, trapped.
Adam qui est musulman, Adam qui est chrétien, catholique, protestant, voilà mon qui est animiste. Et fait qu'il y a moi les petits zappas et qui siriri, zappas et qui siriri. Il faut qu'il y ait les clés contre l'entier, mais Africa pour moi, avec la paix. Nato, banga, teki la paix. Namo que mucho, que sofuto. Nagati today, amo
Cannot just be just about Africa. Yes, Africa is the motherland. It's where it all came from. Whether, you know, interestingly, I've seen some people discussing that being the truth or not. But anyway, that's not. We're not going to get into that understanding, that vision. But I was very amazed at how, for example, Zephyr Saint mixed these Oriental sounds with his sound when he made that song Midnight Mawal. And that's very nice. That's very interesting the way he did it. And I was fortunate to remix this lady that's originally, if I'm not wrong, from Sudan. The band is called the New Batons, and it's also with this kind of influences, you know. It's very East African. It has this Oriental, a very strong Oriental influence, obviously, and she sings in Arabic. The song is called Sukora, and so I try to infuse my African elements within that, because at the end of the day, the drums, they all speak a very profound languages, you know, very profound language no matter where you go, right? They just have a different rhythm and a different application, but there's definitely a lot to do. As a result, obviously, to this recent, change in my life, because it is a change, that you never really get over. You just learn to live with. How do I know? Because obviously I had people who unfortunately before me have lost their loved ones, and that's what they tell you, and it's very true. You can never get over it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I never will get over it. However, like music that is in me, I will cultivate that and try to take from this the most inspiration possible, so that it can be reflected in my future compositions and musical projects. Obviously, since many years, I've had the ambition to fuse more genres together, to fuse just more elements together. But like anything, the main resource that we need is material, in order for you to travel and just to go and mingle with the amazing musicians all over the world. So that will come in its right time. But as a result of what happened to me and my family, I just feel like everything's gonna change, not for the worst, actually for the best, because there is a firm understanding now, I think, though it's still a little blurred, of my mission as a musician, as a truth teller through the music. And when I say truth, not the truth, but my vision of the truth. And as a beatmaker, as a DJ, whatever, just all that is the same thing anyway. It's gonna change, because more than ever, I wanna give back. I wanna give back, but I cannot give back what I don't have. So how do you do? What do you do? Well, you find ways, you find ways, and I think music is that most convenient way to do that, give joy, give peace, and put people back with their spirituality. So the here and now is Offering Recordings, my label. We took a year last year to just put everything, back at zero, shall I say, business-wise, structurally, make it, a potentially strong company and brand that has to live beyond me, It's still too depending on Boddhi Satva, and I think, and I'm not eager to keep it like that. I'm not interested in that. I think, it needs to be a brand of its own, and, when there will be no more Boddhi Satva, it needs to still be there. So, I've been blessed with an amazing team, and Ivan Diaz, Yves Sifa, who are actually my two warriors. Yves is actually co-handling the label for me, and Ivan is doing an amazing job as being my advisor, booking agent, etc., etc. And it's beautiful, because at the end of the day, we're going back to the original way of doing it. We're not doing it with any big companies. We're building it up from the ground up, because I think that's the most important, is to just go back to the roots, understand where we come from, and have a vision of where we're going. And I think that's what's going to be the strongest asset that we have, that I have, is that I'm not trying to look back because I'm scared of what's to come, but it's going to help me position myself.
my life. Right and can't look here. Take it to the side of the wheel. You know it's clear, so you feel. That was a man, I'm in the air. People can tell it down, I got me. People can tell it down, you feel me. You feel it. All the love is crazy. You know I feel all ya. One day I'm trying to on ya. Gotta give me back this one year, but it's in my life. Wanna just want to squeeze ya. One the things I don't know ya. Gotta give me back this one year, but it's in my life.
What you can expect, first of all, is an album. Right now, I have a couple of projects. I have 2 singles. I just gave one away for free on SoundCloud. That's going to be on the album, but it's a song that I did back in Central African Republic, like the same day I was with my father. So, I just felt like it was a song for peace. The title is Siriri, which in Siriri in my language means it means peace, actually. So I gave that away for free. It's going to be on the next album. And that album, man, it's just one of those pieces that there's nothing more complicated than making an album, but at the same time, there's nothing more beautiful than making an album, especially with the intentions behind this project. It's going to be a tribute to my father, so it has to be right. It has to be done properly, and it will be a continuation of what I did with the first album, Invocation.
And that is?
That is ancestral soul. That is not necessarily making, I believe in one thing: better usually can be the enemy of good. You can always get better, but I think you get better by practicing your crafts. So the same beats that you heard in Invocation, you will not hear the same beats on the next album, but it's going to be a continuation and evolution of what Invocation was, without it being Invocation, because it's going to be a completely, totally different project, a new project. So Ancestral Soul, version 5. It's a new dimension in my life, So I think musically it's going to be felt. It's going to be very, very, very clear to those who are already fans of what I do. There's just so many sides of me musically that I think it's time for me to now just, not that I didn't do it before, but I don't think I've done it with as much conviction as I would do it now. Because I've learned something from one of my mentors, Oshunlade. Try not to repeat yourself. Actually, avoid repeating yourself. As a creative being, it's not necessarily advised. You have to keep on evolving without losing yourself, which is a complicated concept, right? Because when you evolve, usually you would say, well, I need to change. But in fact, you don't really need to change. You just need to adapt to the now, the here and now and tomorrow. So yeah, musically, that's what to be expected. A lot of releases on the label. Working on projects that will be impacting people's life in a concrete way. Talking about teaming up with. It's in the works. There's nothing solid yet, but with humanitarian organizations, respected ones, because I have a big concern with some of those NGOs and the way they handle, the resources that they're being granted by, genuine people around the world. The next level for the music I'm doing and its impact is, I think, giving back, as I said before, but giving back in a smart way, whereas, try to target specific projects, specific causes that can be effectively and concretely impacted in a timely fashion. So whether that be, and it's a formula that's been used and reused by many people before me, big stars, etc. But I think there's a few hidden aspects of those actions that have not been taken into account. And in this particular case, I really want to have it be an experience that anyone who's involved in can see actually where their money goes. For example, in Central African Republic, but it's not limited to Central African Republic because my music touches so many places in the world. I cannot limit myself to only my country. However, the situation in my country is so dramatic. I have to do something. Now, would I be able to do it in the next month? That doesn't depend on me, because the intention is there. It's just putting the elements together. So the idea here is to just have the music really and concretely impact people's life. Like, hey, you know what? This artist decided that he would raise, let's say, $5,000 just to get mattresses for this hospital and mosquito nets. Already that's amazing already, especially for hospitals that don't even have mattresses. People literally are laying on the floor. So those are the type of actions, and not have them as one shots continuously, and then building something bigger, and impact people's life. Because what there is not enough in this music is actions taken by artists who have a certain amount of influence and impact in the scene. I know that some do. First of all, when you can help your own family, that's already a great action, right? But I think there's not enough that's being done because there's not enough sense of unity. And what is for me a little sad about this is that we obviously have our respective agendas, that's fine, but the goal that is visioned must be the same, even if the agendas are not the same, because that goal, when it's achieved, will serve the respective agendas of everybody. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not trying to federate everybody around anything.
But you want to live a life that your music contribute and the influence that you have to the health and to the benefit of humans.
I mean, if just the music itself, it's done in a spiritual way, and people are like, well, but what do you do? Do you do like crazy rituals? No. What is spiritual? Obviously, the music is inspired by something that is greater than me. I'm not saying that I'm in tune with the source, but I believe any music makers, anybody who really is doing this for the love of it, is tapping actually into the divine, that is in each of us, right? So if you're tapping into the divine in you to make this beautiful music, in essence, and by all means, you are blessing people's life, right? So if you are blessing these people's life by doing this music with such emotion and such intention, you already contributed in helping people improve their everyday, understanding of their life. Instead of being, oh my God, I don't have money to pay these bills, I don't have this, instead of being negative, why don't you just sit down, listen to the song that may give you joy, peace, whatever, and look at your problem from a different perspective, and look at this problem as a potential way to find a solution. And I know it is very complicated to do so, but that's the whole point, that's the whole meaning. And if accompanying this intention, you can have materialistic proofs of this action to sort of like bring, the means to help those who are the less favored by life. You can have obviously the support and the structure that helps you provide the minimum or the maximum needed, obviously. Then that's even better. But as I said, it's I believe it's one step at a time, because in this type of situations and with such projects, you cannot rush into it. You have to prepare it, because there's a method to the madness. There's obviously I've had the experience actually when I was trying to find
especially in the beginning of the conflict in Central African Republic. There was a lot of death of baby newborn death. So I was like, well, but that's that's the future of the country that's dying like that, and because there was not enough resources. So I reached out to this company who makes this, I don't know how you call this in English, the incubators for babies, right? When they just come to life. And it's interesting, I was trying to have have them sponsor the whole initiative, and I was like, look, I'm ready to put my name on this and to do something, but we cannot let these mothers lose their child like that because there is not enough resources. And this is a little help, but that will make a big change when there's already nothing, So every little piece, can help make a change. And it was very political. I was like, wow. I didn't know how political it was until I got into it. So I was like, all right, let me step back a little bit. And, I felt very guilty because I wanted to help all these people and I wanted to be, proactive. But there was you really realize that it is a business. The humanitarian world is a big business. It's a huge business. I mean, nowadays people create NGOs for anything, So there's a lot of money. And I don't really believe in creating another NGO. No, I don't think that's like repeating the same thing, hoping there will be some change. Actually, for me, that's madness. What's happening right now is madness because everybody has an NGO. And by all means, I mean, if it works for them, great. But I don't believe in that, especially because I've seen what some can do and what most of them cannot do and actually are not doing at all. You can actually see the action on the ground. I mean, I've seen some NGOs that I was extremely impressed, and I don't want to promote any of them right now because I think it's a little too early. I will be eventually when I'm ready to make that move, talking about those I support. But I've seen some people who work for some of those NGOs who I've met and interacted with personally that I know are amazing people, but they're also, depending on a bigger system than them, So I would just say that there's just great people. There's people with amazing intentions. There's people who are doing wonders to try and help those who are the less fortunate. And I think in that, I must not give up on this idea of teaming up with the respected NGOs. And there is a few. And I'll give the name of one that I was very impressed with is Save the Children. Save the Children, they're actually doing a pretty nice job in Central African Republic. And I think that's one of the NGOs, for example, I would be interested to, and we already started talking, but with what happened, I stopped interacting with them. But when it's time for me to come back to it, I'll definitely, it's one of the people that I will team up with because I think they're doing great work as far as helping the kids worldwide with the means that they have. I'm not into that world per se, but I just know, and from people who've been first-hand experiencing the supposed help, or if we're being honest, I mean, a lot of these organizations are not serving the exact purpose they're supposed to be serving. It's and I'm not trying to say there's an hidden agenda, but it is just what it is. There's only so much one can do. So imagine. obviously, in that regard, I think it's interesting how life puts things together for you when you put the intention out there to the universe. I think there's, amazing things happening, aligning for you to go towards that goal if it's meant to be for you. And so far, I'm blessed that I guess it is. I've had the great opportunity to team up to be part of this great concert by Coca-Cola last year in Kenya called Coke Studio Africa to be precise, and it took place in Nairobi, Kenya. It was an amazing experience, actually something that I really look forward to doing again if they call me, but if not, actually it was an amazing opportunity that opened many of the doors. I have a residency at the W Hotel in Doha, in Qatar. So it's a monthly residency. It's been absolutely amazing because I've been able to play my music and they're embracing it, So that's great. And some ongoing discussions with a couple of brands that I can't go into details right now because it's not yet manifested. But I think there's just an understanding that there is no way you can help others if you're not able to help yourself, right? So I have to build the foundations of this intention more than anything, because at the end of the day, I realized that we're only here for X amount of time. We know when we come, but we don't know when we go. And I won't wait for the last day to do everything I have to do. So, I try to set up the ground.
You are trying to arrange with music.
Oh man, I mean, I'm already doing it in Senegal, for example. I'm doing this festival with my partners in Senegal, Tamzi and Dir, Nyanya, and Jojo Flores. Actually, we're doing this festival called the God Soul, the Offering God Soul Weekend in Dakar. It's a free festival, and we're doing this eco-responsible action where we have this company specializing to recycling. Yes, so it's absolutely amazing. So this guy pretty much takes like bottles of soft drinks. So he builds houses with he mixed with those bottles of soft drinks that people drink and just throw away, and he creates actually huts, and so that people who have less money than others, can find a way to just out of what they find, make something solid. So it's pretty amazing. Regarding my upcoming album, I have pretty amazing names. Unfortunately, some of them I've confirmed because we've signed a collaboration. Some of them it's ongoing, but we have not signed a collaboration, so I don't want to speak about them until I have my papers and I say, yes, they are on the album. They are on the album, but not on paper. And everything is, unfortunately, it has to be confirmed by a contract. So until that happens, I can't speak about it. But I'm teaming up with a lot more artists, bigger profiles, way bigger profiles than mine, from different countries. I would say there's USA, obviously Africa, France. There is probably one from a Scandinavian country. It's a she. But if you're thinking about Bjork, it's not Bjork. Well, it might be. No, I don't think what I do would be right away. But anyway, yeah, it's yeah. There's quite some collaborations going on. Obviously, as well, I'm looking into the Middle East too, and Asia.
Yeah.
You know, I think Omar, the amazing Omar on the album. That's one of my favorite artists, and for him to accept to be part of this amazing project is absolutely fantastic. It's Omar Lee Fook, the greatest. And yeah, so quite the Nubians as well. The Nubians are on the album. Zaki Ibrahim is on the album as well. She's a stunning singer, songwriter. Victor Duplay, who was on my first album. Peggy Tabou, who was on my first album. Son of the late Tabou Le Rochereau, the creator of African Rumba, or one of the forefathers of that sound. Yeah, that's it for now. But there's definitely a lot to look forward to. I mean, and it's like any project of a certain magnitude, you have to take time, think about it, put it together piece by piece, and let it take its shape. We're trying to take action by first of all doing this festival, but you know, as I said, it's something in the making. You know, it takes time. It takes resources that we don't necessarily have at the moment, and what is important right now is just to, I think, as much as I have all these great ideas and I'm working on them, I have to work on me, so that me can actually handle the great responsibility that I'm putting upon myself. It's making sure that I'm ready to embrace that, and I think I am. You know, but between thinking and actually facing the situation is two worlds. I can handle it, but I have to have the means to handle what I, envision, and that is in the making.
Mm.
So first I have to secure what I'm doing in order to secure what will be, what I will be accounted for. Like I'm going to be accountable for what I do, especially if I get involved into something like that. Like I don't want somebody to come to me and say, "Hey, well, by the way, that project that you did, I don't want none of that. I want my conscience to be clear with what I do, so I'm not going to take on more than I can handle." Actually, as this Jamaican singer said, Colonel Campbell, don't try to bite off more than you can choke. And it's very true. And that is something I'm trying to apply to my life every day. Like, I tend to take more than I can handle sometimes, but I always manage to get by and make it happen. But that's also one of the things that has to change. Like, those are the visions, those are the intentions, and I know that everything will be put together.
What's happening with you? Where are you at that? Where are you when suddenly you are someplace sitting and then you get lost? Where are you? Where are you then? I have this feeling that people who knows you experience you sometimes with the absence.
Yes, it's true. It is very true.
Of present.
It's very
the
true.
Here and now.
I have this.
Tell me something about it.
I'm in the zone, as they say, right? In English, I'm in that zone. Usually I'm back in Africa. And I'm back at a certain point of my existence, of my childhood, in Bria, the city where I grew up with my parents. I always see there's this tree that we call capoquier in French. It's this absolutely huge tree. It's an interesting tree because that property, the tree will change colors. we have two seasons in Africa. We have the dry and the raining season. It both last 6 months each. But during the dry season, it's usually the weather's a little bit, cooler and there's just that energy. It's extremely bizarre to explain and hard to actually put into words. But and every time around 2 p.m., 2:30, I remember vividly. I said, I'm always thrown back to that moment where I'm like, even as a child, I would say to myself, to die under this tree would be the most beautiful thing. It's how can a child think about this, But it's been, and every time I'm absent, for some reason I'm under that tree. I've never shared that with anybody, matter of fact, and I'm gonna share this with the world. Shit, you made me talk. But it's not because I'm thinking of me dead under the tree. It's that place of infinite peace. That tree, I don't understand why, but it is a place of infinite peace and just feeling the air and the wind, caressing those leaves, and oh my God, it's the most. Even thinking about it, I can feel the sensations and everything. I zone out.
Yeah.
I zone out every once in a while. Actually, more than once in a while, but I do zone out very regularly. Go back into that space and time. That tree in Bria, Central African Republic, and just feel all the elements of nature manifesting themselves around me and within, obviously. I would not say it was necessarily concretely an image like that, like as you would imagine, like a Buddha or anything like that. But it was. I think it's and it's funny because my father used to like that divinity. I mean, he just liked what it meant, and it's. I don't want to say something stupid, but I don't know if it's Krishna. And as a child, I was very impressed by its beauty, It is beautiful, but not in the sense that it's artistically well done. It is just that what lays within what I see or reflects what it means is beautiful. So, and because it's associated to my father, I guess, I don't know. That's the abstract thing, because that's part of my thought process. Like I've never liked to lie to myself. I love the truth. Like I hate to lie to myself about certain things. and sometimes, you may want to, you're scared of not that you're scared, but the reality is too hard for you to accept it. So you're hoping, or you're starting to believe that something else than this fatality will happen. When deep inside you know that this is going to happen. That's the hardest part. Again, this is childhood, man. You take it's a throwback of a throwback, not in a negative way, but it's like as a child. So
it's 8-10 years old.
Yeah, it's
I'm
around
sure.
that time. It is that time actually. Oh my God, this is way back. Well, I'd say if I can tap back into this memory, it was I was very comfortable with it. It felt like it was just I didn't feel like I belonged to it, but I understood what it meant, and without understanding, because as a child you don't necessarily understand everything, but you do understand things because childs are spiritual beings. We tend to lose our spirituality as we grow up and we face realities, and we become shaped by what we experience as young adults and later on adults, but. I felt connected to it in a way. But would that be the reason why I chose to take the name Boddhi Satva? No. The name Boddhi Satva is Boddhi Satva came to me because when I was a child, actually it's not even true. I wasn't even born. I was in the making. A gentleman came to Central African Republic, and at the time my two older brothers were still teenagers, and that gentleman came, and he was a Buddhist. So my parents were very open-minded, so at the time, we're talking about the early 80s, people were kind of reluctant about Buddhism. They didn't really know what it meant, what is that, etc., 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 etc. And anyway, so my parents, gave him, hosted him, treated him, like a proper guest. He had nothing really. The gentleman was traveling the world with literally nothing. It was a mission, he was trying to educate people about the how do you call this? The risks of certain vaccines that were sent by I don't know which organization back then. There was like big scandals in Africa. It was like outdated vaccines sent to African countries.
I know what you're talking about.
So the gentleman stayed there for like 2 weeks or so, and my father told me this when I was actually 18 years old. And because I was looking, that's at the time I really wanted to embrace my musicality, and I was looking for a name as an artist. So my parents told me, like, well, but what they remember is this gentleman was a pianist. He was a film director. He was so many things. Like, he was a very interesting being, and interestingly, my mother told me that she found him somebody who was not able to see the kids. It's not like they were not existent, but my brothers, they would be there, but it's almost like he wouldn't see them. Not that he would overlook them, but it's a weird thing. Like, they would be. He gave them this feeling. When I spoke to my brother about it, my older brother, like he gave them this feeling of, it's like you're very impressed, but at the same time you feel comfortable in the presence. He asked my father to to help him go to Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, which back then was called Zaire. When my father did, he said that he had left them, he had nothing really to show his gratitude, and that he has left them a gift that he hoped will bless their lives. And I think 9 months later I came. Yeah, 9 months later I came to life. So I guess some people will say, "Oh, that's very, that's a little too romantic." But she stayed in bed for 7 months because she could lose me at any time. Because, yeah. And when I came to life, my grandmother, my father's mother, who's still alive, thank God as well, she was there with my mother. I was born in Bangui, the capital of Central African Republic. My name is Armani Vincent Kombot-Naguemon, son of Vivienne Marie Chapman-Royce, and son of Igor Georges Kombot-Naguemon. Proud and blessed to have the parents that I have, because though one is gone, he's never really gone, he's here. And I just hope I can continue to make them proud, which I think and I know I do, as long as I can, and as long as I'm granted the life that I have.